say people that use Discord, gamers, people that are very online, not happy about having to scan their faces.
Now turn
which
right
I'm not
onto
either. I don't think
Woodstock
I would never give. Anyway, here's what they say. They say that for most adults, age verification won't be required as they're using account information, like the games that you play, when you're online, all of these random...
Account tenure, too. So if you had a Discord account for like 16... I don't know how long...
which I have, yeah. So they're using a bunch of different metrics to determine whether or not they think you're an adult.
Feet,
and if
turn
they
right
think you're an
onto
adult, you won't
Harrington
have to do any of
Avenue.
these things. If you have your Discord hooked up to Steam and you play Roblox all the time, they probably are going to make you,
Now turn right
So
onto
you, David, I don't think
Harrington
Roblox
Avenue.
is on Steam.
Oh, damn.
I don't know, though.
It might be. I don't know.
Is Minecraft like the most popular game on Steam? It's going to be a lot of people getting that.
Is it even? I don't think Minecraft's on Steam either.
It's not. Oh.
It's on the Windows Store.
What is on Steam?
Everything else.
Everything else. Literally every other game you didn't just mention.
Fortnite's not on Steam.
Fortnite's on Steam.
I'm trying, guys.
If the game, I feel like if the game is big enough to have like its own following where it doesn't need to be on Steam, then it's not on Steam.
Unless
But
it's
every other game
unless
is
it's
on
Half-Life.
Unless it's owned by Valve.
Yeah,
unless it's owned by Valve,
like
yeah.
Counter-Strike and Dota, yeah. Just gotta mention Dota 2 again. So, anyway,
Marquez.
users who are not verified as adults will not have access to age-restricted servers, channels, and they won't be able to speak in Discord stages. They will see content filters from friend requests, and DMs from unknown
500
sources
feet,
will be filtered
turn
into
right
another
onto Ross
inbox.
Street.
Discord says that the face scan uses an on-device AI model to analyze and predict your age and never leaves the device. So that is something,
Now
if that
turn
is
right onto
true, I
West
think
Street.
that we need like
Alright, bro, that was
security
water,
experts to
but,
like
you know,
actually
nice
try
try.
that and dig into that. There was a lot of
Don't do that shit no
backlash to
more.
this, and so TeamSpeak, if you know that word, you will not get age verified on Discord.
In 500 feet,
Yeah,
turn
If
right
you don't know
onto
that word, you
Woodstock
probably
Avenue.
will.
I was saying, what's the meme of like if you recognize Ricky Martin at the halftime show, like it's probably time to get your prostate
Now
checked.
turn
Like,
right
if you
onto
know
Woodstock
TeamSpeak,
That was
Avenue.
Ricky Martin.
yeah,
Oh my god, that was Ricky Martin. Wow.
you're good,
Yeah.
youngin.
Yeah.
Whoa.
So
Legit.
Okay.
TeamSpeak is like one of the OG voice chat gaming apps. I used to use it when we played StarCraft in high school, and it's basically not been updated in the last like 15 years.
It
Which
looks
is
way different.
kind of sick. I mean, the website, it looks a little bit more like Discord. The problem with Discord now is that it's trying to become the everything app. Like every app, including Netflix, every app is trying to become the everything app because in order to scale infinitely, you have to just adopt every possible market.
Yeah.
That's why Netflix is becoming a podcast app and a games app now, because they kind of saturated the watching content app.
You're gonna drop the flicks.
Yeah, they're just gonna be net. It's gonna be the internet.
Welcome to Net.
So yeah, people are very angry about this. Discord knew that people were going to be very angry, and they anticipated to lose some users and say that they are going to have to use other tactics to get users to come back. Whether or not this ends up being a mass exodus and people actually move over permanently or just flow back, which is what usually happens with these social graph effects, not sure. So
I just think funny. It doesn't take away from any of the worries people has in here, but there's something so funny about Discord being for gamers and them not wanting their face, but then they'll go start a new character in a game and spend like 6 hours making it look exactly like them.
That is very funny.
yeah.
There's going to be a really sad future where we look back on this era and be like, damn, like Discord and like Sam Altman with WorldCoin, like they were so nice. Like they let us scan our own faces instead of just like walking into Baskin Robbins and getting our face scanned without our consent for our ice cream ID.
It's
like
fine. All the flock cameras they already know where you are at all times anyway. Anyway, I did see a very funny thing. You guys know what Gary's mod is? This is another one. This is another one of those things where if you do know what that is, you won't have to do the thing. But I saw some people who were using Gary's mod characters to fool the face scanning technology,
awesome.
and it actually worked.
Depth. That's crazy.
Well, it does, and that's the thing, because they were streaming the screen. I mean, depth in terms of like the character looks three-dimensional, and it was turning.
Yeah, because it's not using like an IR sensor on your regular webcam.
Cameras are all 2D, you know. They just like
Yeah, but like I didn't realize. I thought when I remember when I was doing a face verification for it, but I had to scan my ID and then do the thing where I look left and right. Yeah, I think that's using the iPhone's. Well, maybe it
the
doesn't.
iPhone's IR, right?
It might be an iPhone's IR, but
Yeah.
it might also not be. But Discord is presumably
camera.
probably using it from a webcam, or I guess
Yeah.
there is a mobile app, so maybe.
Probably webcam.
I doubt
They're not going to
Discord's-
force you to use your phones.
Yeah, that's just why I figured they would have to use real depth instead of just an image that rotates.
Well, they can't really. I mean, the iPhone. There's
You
some
can't force
phones
someone
that
to
have
have it.
IR. Yeah.
Look, there's also a non-zero chance that this face scanning stuff literally does nothing, and Discord just needed to do something to like make themselves not legally accountable for like exposing minors. to
Yeah,
this.
I
I'm not
mean-
saying it does, but like we're at the point now where like who's to say everyone isn't lying all the time?
Mm-hmm.
I've been lying this whole podcast.
I'm not jealous. Audio listeners would be shocked to find out I am like a 7-foot lizard sitting at the mic and have been this whole time.
I'm 12.
But you know what demands truth and nothing but the truth?
What is that?
Waveform trivia.
That's facts.
Well, good thing we all
Wait.
get the truth right.
I was gonna say when the correction comes next week, that segue's gonna hit.
Yeah, maybe. No, I
Our
think.
scores.
Yeah, no, that is. Look, man, I strive for perfection.
I know it's been a weird episode, but
It's only gonna get weirder, baby.
it's only getting weirder. It's only February.
Guys, want to guess what this trivia question's about? Because
Sam Altman.
Sam Altman, baby. Sam Altman has said in the past, specifically on his blog and several interviews, that with 10 gigawatts of compute, we would most likely have to choose between curing cancer or tutoring every child in America. We couldn't have both for 10 gigawatts of compute. The largest power plant by total possible capacity. Again, this power plant only runs at 30% capacity, according to my limited understanding of industrial scale power and this Wikipedia
That's
page.
part of the trivia question.
But-
Limited understanding.
Running at full hypothetical capacity, how many gigawatts can the largest power plant in America produce?
I don't even.
Gigawatt have to do with education.
Wait, I'm
saying that the compute required.
The compute required to
require
train the
how much?
model that could do either of those things
Oh.
require 10 gigawatts.
I don't understand why these people ever make those. Like, sometimes you see people ask, like Elon, like, well, what do you think
doing
of,
that, bro? It's water.
you know, solving world hunger? And he'll go, and he'll try to answer. Like, why would you try to answer that? Don't
No,
don't make a promise that you could solve cancer with enough power. That's an insane thing to say out loud.
Yeah!
But
Yeah!
Here we
And you know, the thing is like, I've never been an evil villain, like a super villain, so I can't truly put myself
What
in,
about
like,
when you were the
shoes.
Hamburglar for Halloween?
That's true. I was a super villain. Is the Hamburglar really a super villain? I've always thought of him as more of like a Robin Hood, man of the people type figure.
no.
That's if... Okay, so
Is Ronald
someone...
McDonald like Big Brother or something?
No, the Hamburglar's foil is Mayor McCheese, obviously.
I'm so hungry.
Okay.
I thought they were wrapped in paper.
Oh, that's good.
Anyway, what's the question?
I think...
I literally don't know.
Oh, it's how much how many
Yo,
gigawatts?
the
How many gigawatts?
hardiest, most powerful power plant in America.
How many gigawatts
In
does it
America.
produce?
In America. In the
While it's
United
running at
States.
30%
I'm
capacity.
specifically referring to the Grand Coulee Dam in Washington State.
Oh, it's a
How
dam.
many gigawatts did the car in Back to the Future need?
Flux capacitor.
7 parsecs. No.
100 gigawatts.
I have no
That
idea.
quote?
I don't remember.
That says 1,000. How many?
A gigawatt is 1,000 megawatts.
Okay, and a megawatt
Is it 1,000?
1.21.
1,000.
1,000.
1,000 watts.
A megawatt is 1,000 watts. No, a million watts. It's a million watts.
A million watts.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
1.21
So a
gigawatts.
gigawatt is a billion watts.
The flux capacitor
Look,
needed
pissing me off,
1.21
bro.
gigawatts.
Yes. Also,
Damn, he could have cured cancer instead.
dude.
So
Yeah.
you're saying that dam would let us travel back to the future?
I'm saying that
That's like 7 times.
musical comedian Reggie is 1 watt.
Tesla, what the fuck are you on about?
Reggie Watts. It's good. We should
This
probably take a
is-
break.
yeah.
We're going insane.
I think our
Sorry, but it's time. You're getting killed for a second here. I'm sorry, bro. You're getting rebooted, my bad. Do it.
think our audience needs a break more than we do.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, guys. But
All right.
also-
Well, we'll think about it. Answers will be at the end, like usual. We'll be right back. Support for the show comes from Monarch. It's important to have goals, but if you don't have the right tools to make that happen, they're more like daydreams. Instead of just wishing you had that down payment or that you could be living debt-free, you can take action and set yourself up for financial success this year. Monarch is the all-in-one personal finance tool to make your life easier. It brings your entire financial life, budgeting, accounts, and investments, and net worth and future planning together in one dashboard on your phone or your laptop. Feel aware and in control of your finances this year and get 50% off your Monarch subscription with code WAVE. Monarch makes a lot of things easy, like tracking your finances with a partner or sharing your transaction history with a financial advisor. Monarch also has all kinds of visual tools to help you wrap your head around all the way your money is moving. So set yourself up for financial success in 2026 with Monarch, the all-in-one tool that makes proactive money management simple all year long. Use code WAVE at monarch.com for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code WAVE. Support for the show comes from Zapier. There's a lot of talk about AI these days and a lot of hype surrounding what it can do and how it can help your business, but talk is cheap. The real value comes from actually using AI to get things done. That's Zapier. Zapier is a way for you to break the hype cycle and put AI to work across your company, for real. Zapier helps you actually deliver on your AI strategy. With Zapier's AI orchestration platform, you can bring the power of
Yeah, it's kinda
AI
outlaying
to any
a little bit there,
workflow
buddy.
so you can do more of what matters. You can connect top AI models like ChatGPT and Claude to the tools your team already uses so you can add AI exactly where you need it. Whether that's AI-powered workflows,
Why are you fucking up
autonomous
so much
agent,
lately,
a personal
Tesla?
customer chatbot, or something else, you can orchestrate it all with Zapier. Plus, Zapier is for
did
everyone. Take
flawless
expert or not.
for the past
Teams have already
4
automated over
hours of
300
driving
million
down and
tasks
back.
using Zapier. So,
now you're doing this
join the
shit?
millions of businesses transforming how they work with
flawless, bro.
Zapier and AI.
Fucking
Get started for
flawless, and
free
now
by
you're
visiting
just
zapier.com/wave.
not
That's
flawless right now? Like, what the fuck are you doing?
zapier.com/wave.
All right, welcome back, Marquez.
Yeah,
We've talked about a lot of deep stuff here, but I think I have potentially the biggest question possible for you.
sure.
Why do you hate OnePlus so much?
It's a very valid question. You mean my daily driver that I've been? This has been a question I've seen.
Keep your enemies closer, Marquez.
No, we did a video on silicon carbon batteries, and this video got a mixed reception, and obviously I have thoughts on it, but I'll have all the details here. Basically, it's a story of like corporate risk assessment, which is not the most interesting thing, but it's very connected to technology because there are companies out there using silicon carbon batteries. There are lots of companies out there not using silicon carbon batteries in smartphones specifically, and we talk a lot about smartphones. So after the year and a half of me making lots of videos on smartphones that have silicon carbon batteries and me raving about them and being like, why aren't these other guys doing that? Decided to dig a little bit more into why those other guys aren't doing that. And also have been getting lots of emails, as you can imagine, from people going,
In 1 mile,
hey, we're not
bear
idiots.
left
We have
onto
thought a
Route
lot about
100.
this, and there's a certain risk tolerance that this company has and a couple concerns that these companies have about potentially using silicon carbon batteries.
I'd say it got to the point where over the past year, you would mention it, and we would have comments that are like, hey, moron, they're not doing it because of blah, blah, blah. Like, yeah.
It's come up a few times even on this podcast. We've mentioned like, I think you mentioned it too.
Yeah, the Google engineer at Google I/O last year pulled me aside and was like, "You guys keep asking why we're not using it, and here are the reasons we're not using it." So I just was like, I just mentioned that he mentioned that to me.
Yeah,
That's all I said.
yeah, and also I had a bunch of versions of that over the last couple of years. So I'm like, all right, let me just put all of this together into one video because I imagine not everyone knows this stuff. Not everyone gets pulled aside by a Google engineer at I/O to hear about this stuff. So essentially put together a video on what some of those companies are thinking about silicon carbon and why they're not using it, so that we can have the whole picture. I'm still gonna love silicon carbon batteries and praise them, and that's why I'm using this phone and phones like it with incredible battery life. But there were a couple of things people didn't like about the video. Probably two main things. One was the thumbnail. Totally valid. It was like a little bit spicy, and I think this is an interesting enough topic without the debate about clickbait, so I just changed the thumbnail. But then two was that, I didn't name drop the exact people who had been emailing me over the years or which companies who pulled me aside and said these things, and it kind of felt like, oh, I'm like a mouthpiece for them, like I'm
Now bear
protecting
left
them and
onto Route
justifying them. I'm
100.
actually like a secret silicon carbon hater or something like that. I think a lot of people didn't make it all the way through the video and just left with that impression, so I figured it was valid to sort of explain it all with someone who's actually willing to join the podcast and put a their expertise in front of everyone and explain. So we have Shen joining us from HTC. I don't know if he's been on the
He's been on the
He's been on the podcast once before. Okay, because we've
I
talked
think twice.
And so HTC obviously does lots of different devices now at this point in XR, and obviously have done smartphones in the past, RIP. But they obviously work with batteries a lot. So he works with batteries and the corporate risk assessment profile of a company who has to decide what types of batteries to use. So I figured this would be informative and interesting. You don't have to hear it from me, but you get all the information at a deeper level. So let's play that quick interview for you now, and then we'll come back right after. So, okay, Shen, thank you for doing this. I appreciate the time. I think we should just start off with what's your position, what are your credentials, because people want to know how you know this stuff first. So, who are you, what do you do?
Okay, I'm Shen. I look after global product management at HTC. I've been here for almost 11 years now, but I've been running product for the past 5.5 years here at our headquarters. So I look after product from conception to all the way to end of life. When we do, so I don't work on phones anymore, but I work on a lot of things where things like batteries are important. So like XR headsets, right? Generally, what you'll find in the market is about 2 hours. And I would say also with things like smart glasses that we just launched, the compactness of them is also really important. And then one last thing is, considering that they're right on your head, we are actually generally more safety conscious than others when it comes to the battery safety itself.
That's a really good jumping off point, because obviously we talked about silicon carbon batteries, regular lithium-ion batteries we've seen for years. And I mostly was, talking about them in the context of smartphones, but paint me a picture of what this landscape is like. We've had these batteries for a long time. There's been tons of advancements, and I've started talking about silicon carbon batteries for like the last year or two in smartphones as a really big deal, like a pretty big leap. But obviously there's some risk assessment there. So when you look at just batteries in general, silicon carbon versus the typical battery, what are you seeing?
So I'm still a massive smartphone fan, so things like silicon carbon batteries do get me excited, especially at the idea of capacity increasing so much.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the industry itself, I think because batteries are such a high energy density item, everyone is usually a lot more wary of it. The way a battery can usually go wrong is when it expands, it swells, thermal runaway, usually maybe it's like shorts inside. And some of them don't even have to come from any structural, like dropping your phone, right? Like batteries that charge below freezing can sometimes have an issue where the lithium deposits itself as a metal, and that's pretty much an irreversible process. It can cause gas expansion, and it can cause shorts itself. So there are loads of these different things we have to consider when looking at new chemistries, and so it depends on the kind of company you are, right? So I did see the video, and I do agree with you. When you are kind of in the top 2 or 3 in terms of market share, it's kind of your race to lose, right? So you're more wary about a mistake happening, especially when you sell tens of millions, hundreds of millions of phones a year. So you're going to be a lot more strict when it comes to safety standards. And sometimes it might just be the thing that you don't want to really risk. And I'll also say, when we look at something like silicon carbon, or even newer technologies like silicon anode itself, while it helps with things like capacity, in terms of battery chemistry, you're playing a lot of other levers instead. So as you go with more and more silicon, you're actually reducing the charge rate as well. So that is another thing you have to balance. And of course, things like longevity. You mentioned in your video, and it's quite accurate, when silicon absorbs lithium ions as it charges, it swells up, right? And there are loads of ways, there's like nanolithography ways of making sure those particles don't swell up as much. But at the end of the day, it's still swelling, and that will cause, companies to have certain concerns, and they'll want to test these for longer periods of time. So I expect it to be slower adoption there as well. And I would say, a lot of different companies take things like battery longevity differently. Some will make this their number one thing, and you'll realize that they're the ones that don't really increase charge speed that much, don't really experiment with new types of chemistry, and that's usually because they actually care about longevity a lot more than others.
I know you won't say it, but I'll say that's the thing we've seen from Apple for years. But what is funny about batteries is like smartphones. I talk about smartphones so much. Like we get very few really exciting new things with smartphones at this stage. Like they're such a mature category. So when we do get something interesting, like a way bigger smartphone sensor, or this really big processor node shift, or a huge increase in battery capacity, that's interesting. So like we pay more attention to it, and we'd like all of our favorite brands and our favorite phone models we're considering buying to be at the forefront of that. But it's not always as simple as just switching to the new thing. I think one thing that was also mentioned in the video that was, it's obviously very complex, and I did a lot of simplification, but is the testing process. And I'm assuming this is obviously very important to you because you're putting batteries on people's heads. Like, what is the process of testing, charge cycles, and for longevity? What is the process like at a big company when trying to assess if a new battery technology is potentially worth it?
So usually when it comes to safety, we work with the battery vendor themselves to come out with safety guidelines. And actually most companies have roughly the same kind of guidelines, the same kind of tests. Some may just pull the criteria a little bit higher. You'll usually see battery specs, for example, like it'll retain 80% of its charge after 800 to 1,000 charge cycles.
Yeah, we see that.
Things like that.
Yeah.
But one other thing is, when you have a new product, the way it fits in also makes a difference in terms of how you should test it. I'll give you an example. When it comes to battery tech, when it comes to fitting a battery itself, manufacturers will always leave kind of an expansion space between the battery and the actual housing, because batteries will expand. They'll expand with temperature. They'll expand over time, right? There's always going to be a little bit of off-gassing potentially that can happen, and a lot of the time that's within an acceptable range, and that's why you leave that expansion space. It's mostly when that expansion goes beyond what that expansion space allows that you'll see your phone kind of splitting apart. So we'll test for a lot of different things. We'll test for different temperatures. Even during shipping, we have a thing called thermal shock, where something might go from minus something degrees to something that's really hot and really humid. So those are things that you kind of have to test for all kinds of products. But I'll still say there are a lot of things that is really hard to test for. There are 20, 30 different combinations that are going to happen, but how do you test those over a long period of time, right? If you're testing it you can accelerate certain tests, but at the end of the day, you'll always realize you have a certain blind spot when it comes to real world usage. So that comes back to what I mentioned. It's all about how do you want to play that risk.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of variables, and maybe if it's in something that's it's used in less environments or less situations, then maybe you don't have to test for as many variables. But a smartphone is it's with you everywhere. Like there's a trillion different things that can happen to it, from temperature to pressure and environments and stuff. So it does seem, I don't envy the task. It seems like a very detailed, complicated one. My last question for you is just, what else do you think people should know about batteries in general? Like it's a complex thing. There's chemistry, there's physics, there's a lot involved. Is there anything that maybe is commonly looked over by people buying smartphones? Maybe just when comparing one smartphone to the other? What do you think people should know about batteries that they probably don't already?
I will say one thing I'll say one that's kind of more supply chain oriented. first, and that's specifically usually with new tech. You have this one issue where not many people are making it. If from HTC's past, we have rules in place where we are required to kind of second source everything. And that's for a few reasons. Sometimes, you don't want one vendor for a really cheap component to go out of business, or to have an issue and then impact your entire business.
Sure.
Sometimes it's that, but sometimes it's also more malicious. You have competitors in the space that will attack your supply chain to try and stop you from going to market. That happens more than you'd expect.
If I remember, we're gonna do chill on the way home to see if there's a difference.
Yeah, so as a big company, whenever you look at new tech, you're going to want to try and second source everything. I mean, in HTC, the only exception by default is the CPU, right? Because mostly in a phone, you're not going to find a second source for like a Qualcomm chipset.
Sure.
But you can second source most things. And then if we have to waive anything for any reason, that usually has to go through an approval process. So that is one thing to consider, which is at the scale of certain companies, they're going to be required to second source those because they don't want their sales to tank because one supplier couldn't make batteries anymore for them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Or any other component.
Yeah, that is really interesting you bring that up because that's been a story. Sometimes, every once in a while in the past, there will be a big enough noticeable difference between maybe a single component from two different suppliers, and that'll make a headline like, ooh, I got the iPhone with the LG display, or I got the iPhone with the Samsung display, and you can actually measure a difference, and it's kind of rare that happens, but usually, people are pretty good about matching the things together. But that is a fascinating story too.
Yeah, I would say most manufacturers will have the same specs for those different companies, to try and make sure that it isn't noticeable, but every now and then you will somewhat notice it. So that's kind of the supply chain side. And then, I think the one thing about batteries is coming back to there are so many different levers, right? And you might want capacity, but the next person's going to want charging speed, right? You might be able to have both, but there's a trade-off somewhere. That trade-off could be longevity. I don't think any battery manufacturer will make something that is below what industry safety regulations are. But what I will say is those tolerances will sometimes change how they fit in a product, also impact how it's tested, and different companies will just have their different priorities. And at the end of the day, that is going to be one of the key reasons why they choose a specific battery over another. And sometimes could even just be cost, right?
Nice.
Memory is going up
Fucking
crazy, right?
Yeah.
We've been having meetings about memory for.
Let's see if you do better on chill, because I don't know what the fuck
almost
you're on
any
about.
product with a processor is going to have some sort of memory in there.
And you chill now.
We're trying to figure out, okay, what else
You don't fucking slow down for
could we do
shadow.
without having to increase prices for certain things. And sometimes, and I'm sure someone in 2026 will end up making a decision that they're not going to invest as much into the newest technologies because they don't want their retail price to go up.
Yeah, like I try to, this has come up now that we've started to make our own products, where we realize how many decisions go into these products and every lever is just a trade-off with something else. I am rooting for silicon carbon batteries to become, we haven't had, thankfully, any issues with them. Longevity seems to be totally fine so far, but, batteries, even just within batteries themselves, have different levers. It feels like an oversimplification, but a lot of things come down to just capacity, charge rate, and longevity. Pick two. That's not even with price and all the other things. There's tons of different levers that will flip based on what your priorities are as a company. But yeah, I'm hoping for good things.
You might not know what that lever will look like. If you pull the other two, you don't know what that longevity lever is going to look like until you've seen that thing run through its entire life cycle. So I would say those that aren't using silicon carbon batteries, I wouldn't say any of them are rooting against it at all, right? As long as nothing happens to it in whatever their time frame they're observing it, Like, I'm sure it's going to be within those discussions. I'm sure it's in their discussions now. But at the end of the day, when they make that decision of which one they use, they're choosing the levers that makes the most sense for them.
Awesome. Well, this has been super helpful and insightful, and I'm sure we'll have you back on the podcast at some point, maybe even back in the studio, but we appreciate the insight, so thanks as always.
Thank you.
All right, so that was it. Thank you again to Shen for spending the time. Obviously, he's a very busy person, and being in charge of a big company like that, there are tons of things to consider all the time. It was cool having the facts from him and the expertise. And again, the risk that we're talking about is not just like the specific safety risk of one technology, but it's like a corporate risk, it's a financial risk, it's a longevity risk, it's all sorts of things that come with the choices, the levers you pull to use different technologies. So I thought that was interesting to hear.
Yeah, I think a pretty common comment was along the lines of like, well, Apple and Samsung aren't going to risk spending more money on it. It's like, yeah, that's part of the risk assessment thing, is like it costs more money, potentially has way more money. You think about Note 7, I mean, how much money Samsung probably lost at this. Like, yeah, all these companies care way more about bottom line and money than they do any of us, and getting the best features. So yeah, I thought that was pretty obvious. But
I am reminded that the guy at I.O. that told me the reason Google didn't use them at the time. Again, this was a year ago. Things might have changed since then.
It was 2 years ago.
Maybe it might have been 2 years ago. It might have been 2 years ago. Might have been to I.O. To Google I.O. we go. What?
Old McDonald. Bro.
that's what he said. Yeah.
Like the Hamburglar. Yeah. Anyway, so he at the time, he wasn't saying that like they're more likely to explode necessarily. What he had told me was that their longevity, they started to lose their total ability to charge to 100% much quicker, and after 2-ish years, the degradation was a lot higher. I am aware, like, from 2 years from then, they've actually made the technology quite a bit better. They've made the chemistry a lot better so that it, maintains a lot of charge cycles. I think OnePlus has put out a lot of kind of like technical stuff about this and how they're able to actually maintain like 1,000 charge cycles for silicon carbon, which is a lot better than some people.
Yeah. So that's really important.
Stuff changes.
Yeah. This like assessment of the technology will be constantly changing, and the way that these companies decide whether to use any of this stuff or not is also constantly changing. So as it gets better, like, okay, one of the big points in the comments was, well, we haven't had any issues so far with silicon carbon batteries, which is great. That's really good news for potentially getting them sooner in everyone else's phones. But yeah, this stuff is constantly evolving.
And it's newish to the point where like it's only been out for like 2 years.
Exactly.
So like, yeah, we're not going to see, if there are any problems, we're not going to start seeing it until like a year from now or so.
And the variable of humankind is so much more insane than anything you can test in a lab. I mean, we've seen how many folds have been folded 100,000 times in a lab, and people are breaking them
Broken
in like
within a week.
2 weeks. Yeah, we peeled the screen protector off of the first fold immediately. Like us as humans destroy things, and when it's something that has a little bit of a more dangerous potential, it's just like, even if that's so small, the news cycle of if that potentially happens is so big.
And we talk about how, like, when YouTube makes a change and it's like, oh, we're only testing this on 1% of customers, but then you realize what 1% is for YouTube, and that's like a lot of people. It's the same with like Samsung sells an insane amount of phones, right? So like, if 1% of their phones have battery issues, that's a way bigger story than 1% of like the amount of phones that Google sells having battery issues.
Yeah, that's exactly, and what Shin was talking about. Like, if you're pretty confident that the issues with your phones are 1 in a million, and you only sell 500,000 phones, you feel pretty good about that. Yeah. But if you're Samsung and you sell tens of millions of phones, the risk profile is different.
Mm-hmm. And are also like, you're just leading everything already. Like, why change anything? I'm already making plenty of money, and people aren't switching off me. So why would I give them anything else?
Are you just talking about the S26 now?
I think
literally.
That was maybe the most like impactful line that he said to me, which is like, it's your race to lose.
Yeah.
In all these other competitive markets where there is no true like number one runaway with a high market share, they're all very competitive, and that's way more exciting. You get way more advanced product really quickly. And then, like I said in that video, here in the US, where market share is kind of stacked for a couple companies, they are I mean, we see it. They are so passive about a lot of stuff. So
Yeah.
that's their risk assessment profile.
The S23 is the S24 is the S25 is
Probably
the
the
S26.
So 3 plus plus
New
plus, plus.
boxes. Yeah, Note 3 plus plus plus.
My thing too is like I feel like if there's one thing I can trust and believe in, it's that these companies want to make more money. So if there's an
really good.
if there's an opportunity for them to use this new
Yes.
battery tech, they're gonna do it as soon as possible.
If
So,
they
like,
think it'll like drive the market share.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole reason that Samsung is making a foldable, allegedly making a foldable to compete with the iPhone foldable form factor, is because they know it will make them money. Because people are like, oh, I love that shape, but I want to be on Android. Also, Samsung has some pretty bad PTSD with the Note 7 explosion.
I was just thinking about that.
So-
That was 2016, right?
I think it was 2017.
2017, so
It was
almost a
2017.
decade ago.
Yeah.
I always find myself saying, like, hey, you know what happened to Samsung? But for some 15-year-olds watching this,
They don't.
they actually don't know what happened
Oh,
to
yeah.
Samsung.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah.
A lot of
they're-
people might not even know what the Galaxy Note was.
Exactly. Yeah.
Flashbacks.
Part of the age verification is what happened to Samsung.
So wait, there was a time where you had to choose between having an Android phone that came with a stylus or air travel.
That's true. Yeah, because you could not bring a Galaxy Note 7 on a plane. For those that don't know, the Galaxy Note 7, notably, appreciate it, started exploding a lot. And
Even that is there's 96 cases total.
that's a lot, bro.
It is a lot. It's a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not really that much.
I only exploded 96 times. It's not that big a deal.
That's
I mean,
the thing. yeah.
especially knowing that while you're sleeping, your phone could randomly explode like that. I would not. Yeah. So they recalled it, and then they just didn't end up replacing it, which was very funny. They did later release the Note 7 Fan Edition.
For those
For
who
those-
really want to know
Yeah.
Like I said, lithium-ion batteries aren't perfect either.
No.
It's just they have some level of risk all the way across the board.
Can I throw something out there also just about the video? Just as an explanation, the reason we showed the jerry-rig everything fold like smoking in the video is because when we were looking over the script, someone at the studio was like, oh, I don't know what the term thermal runaway means. So rather than just putting this big explanation there, we just, I mean, I guess it's not a big explanation, but we're like, we'll show footage of what a thermal runaway is. We don't have that silicon carbon. I totally get why people think that felt targeted, but that was not the purpose
I think
of
it
it.
all
And,
came,
yeah.
it all, the mentality that a lot of comments that we're seeing, some reaction videos people made, a lot of it came from the original thumbnail, which was people going, oh, this is a hit piece against silicon carbon, which if you ignore every other video I've ever made is a reasonable take. But now that the thumbnail has changed, the packaging makes a lot more sense. We are explaining the risk assessment, not going, hey, silicon carbon bad, lithium ion good. So if that was your thought, now you know.
And the risk assessment, again, is mostly about pricing and longevity and less about exploding.
Exactly.
Which a lot of people thought it was about exploding, but it's not.
So there we go.
Can I say a random thing that Shen pointed out that I thought was interesting? Was the more he was talking about it, I kind of like in my head tried to visualize what these levers are that he was talking about, that you have to like pull and push or whatever. And it just reminded me kind of like an exposure triangle, like with cameras. Like the more of one thing you do, the less of the other, like
Changes,
charge cycles or capacity, and it's like eventually we'll have Sonys that can just see in the dark, but
Yeah, but it was also a good point because it's like an exposure triangle where you have to take 10,000 pictures before you can see the light meter. You know what I mean? Because like he made that really good point that it's like you can play with the longevity lever or the charge speed lever, but you don't know what that third lever is going to be like until you've had these batteries used for a while.
Anyway,
Thank you, Shen.
All in the name of shedding light on things. Thank you again to Shen for helping us out with that. And I think it's time for more trivia.
trivia, dude. So this is a YouTube question. Let's see who gets it.
YouTube?
I should get this.
Like YouTube being
Cayman's pre-installed on which iPod? No, triggered me.
Do that.
Not including music videos. The topmost YouTube video is a GTA 6 trailer, of course. But one company accidentally broke that record in 2024. Do you remember what company that was?
Most viewed YouTube video that's
in 24
not,
hours.
In 24 hours,
Yeah.
that is not a music video.
That is not a music video.
accidentally.
One
Accidentally.
company accidentally broke that record?
Yep.
It wasn't. Was it?
Or was it?
Really? Was it?
I think I know.
You think?
Well, I'm trying to put the pieces together. It was very well worded question.
Thank you. It took me this whole... People go back 20 minutes and just look at me at the desk like this. And that was me trying to think about how to phrase this question.
Well done.
Accidentally.
Okay,
I think it was
we'll think about that.
It was intentional.
Answers at the end like usual. We'll be right back.
14 minutes out. Please help me.
All right, welcome back to Waveform, the Waveform podcast, as you know it, where we talk about EVs. 2 EVs to talk about this week. The cheap one or the expensive one?
Expensive.
The expensive one or the cheap one?
Cheap is relative to the expensive.
Of course.
Yeah, let's do the cheap
Fucking
one.
A, bro.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Rivian
Where do I even
R2
park?
reviews dropped this week,
Sort of. reviews,
including ours. Yeah.
First drive.
Reviews, first
It's gonna have to
drive,
be like
First impressions.
final
somewhere.
prototype evaluation. We don't have full pricing of all the trims yet, but our video went up, CarWow video went up, Jerry Everything video went up, Doug DeMuro video, a bunch of us got to actually hang out and drive these cars. R2, as many of you know, is the slightly smaller and roughly half the price Rivian R1. It's the second generation product. It's their two-row SUV. It's their Model Y fighter. It's their mass market competitor to like put them on the map and save them. Blah blah blah. All these expectations for R2. I thought it was really, really good. I thought it was really impressive. The software was good. The steering wheel haptics were like PS5 controllers with the like spring weight. Like
Relax.
It was really relaxed. I'm just saying. It looks like an R1. It's just smaller. It's nimble. It's 2,000 pounds lighter. It's simpler. It also was the highest end trim version of it, so it's obviously not going to be the base $45,000 one, but it was a dual
Keep
motor all-wheel
straight to
drive,
take River
600
Street.
horsepower, 0 to 60 in 3.5 seconds. Very, very capable machine. We off-roaded in it. We drove it on streets. Got roughly 300 miles of range. Lots of good things to say about it. But we don't know the price of the one that I tested. That won't come out for another month or so, which everyone is now, doing their theorizing about how much they think it will cost. But I'm curious if you guys are thinking good things about R2.
Well, with the RAM shortage, it's going to be way more expensive. I'm kidding.
Every car has.
I mean, not that far off.
there's a little bit of memory.
Yeah, I'm curious. Do you know which trim you drove? Like, did they tell you?
Yes.
They did.
So I am
The
not
highest
allowed
end.
to weigh in on the prices.
Yeah.
But yes, I drove the highest end trim that they plan on shipping in
Okay.
2026.
And when they announced it, however many years ago, what was the price for the people that put in the pre-order? Andrew, I believe you did that, right?
The pre-order though
It
was
was like $100 down payment.
it was like $100.
But for which
$200.
trim, do you know? Or was it
No,
just
no,
a
you
general-
didn't pick a
Oh, you didn't get to pick.
No,
Okay.
Yeah.
You picked that up.
I thought the whole thing was under 60.
That was what
Is
I was
that
trying to
something you
ask.
said?
Like, what was the number?
I
you
don't
said back in the
remember.
day?
I thought back in the day there was an under 60.
What I mostly see is $45,000. This whole
Is what
this
people
whole
are
promise
assuming.
of like this is their $45,000 competitor.
If I remember correctly, and I could be totally wrong, is everyone was saying under 60 a few years ago, which makes most people assume that higher trim would be 59. But that was like, the like 59.95 or whatever that is under 60. I don't know. That was 2 years ago. A lot of stuff has changed.
Facts.
These things never come out the
Now
price.
And to be clear, the
To take
R2
River Street.
is only coming in the R1S trim where it's smaller. I mean, it's a smaller SUV.
It's an SUV.
Small
There's no
two-row
truck.
SUV. Correct.
So
There's
there's
no pickup
no
truck
truck.
version. Right. Okay. Which, yeah, this is like the common shape of vehicle that especially America just buys a lot of in general. And Model Y is the most popular vehicle on Earth for a reason. Like, there's a shape and a two-row SUV, higher off the ground type of thing that people like, and this is competing directly with that. So that's out. That's, not too many hot takes about it.
I'm just more excited for the R3.
Dude, I want the
Give me
R3. It's like a
People,
Subaru.
This is cute. This is cool. Thank you.
Dude.
Now do R3.
The R3 is
feel
like
like
a foot and a half to 2 feet shorter than the Model 3. It'll be even easier to park in Brooklyn.
You mean lengthwise, right?
Lengthwise.
Yeah.
Front to back.
And
My-
height-wise, you got to really get
my
down to get into that thing.
Thing
No,
about the
joking.
R2 was they had like the decals on it as like the like
R2D2.
the like camouflage quote
In
unquote. Like
500 feet,
it
go
didn't
left
cover
onto
any
Church
lines.
Street.
It just still looked exactly the same. It just looked like it had like a silly paint job on it.
Yeah,
which
we
I
all
thought was
know. I mean,
fun.
they showed me in that studio like 2 years ago or whatever what the R2 was supposed to look like. So this is now technically an updated final
Now
version, but
bear
it's like we
left
already
onto
you can
Church
see
Street.
it's like it has a couple stripes
Church
on it.
Street,
Okay, whatever.
right.
But we know what the R2 is going to look like. So
Still really
yeah,
trying to be-
R2 they got very clever with it. I will say they had some nice Easter eggs. You can see some of them in Doug DeMuro's video, some of them in Zach's video.
Nazi shit.
The charge flap, which is the back left corner, has a maze in it. People did screenshot the video and fill out the maze. It doesn't seem to mean anything.
Just seems like a long
Top
maze.
post on our subreddit just says, "This maze fucking sucks."
In 500 feet.
Because I remember
go
when I was
on
there,
to
and I'm
Pleasant
sure someone from
Street.
Ruby was watching this, I was like, please show me all the Easter eggs. And they're like, we can't. All I can tell you is there's a bunch, and I can't
Now
explain
bear
any of
right
them or
on
show
to
you where they are.
Pleasant
And we're
Street.
like, all right, well, I found the maze, so can you at least tell me what the maze means when people fill it out? And they were like, it's just a maze. It's just a maze. I was like, what do you mean it's just a maze? You spent all this effort, like, building and designing your own maze and the molding to, like, hide in the charge port. What is it? They wouldn't tell me. So now that people have filled it out, it seems like it actually is just a maze and nothing special having to do with, unless it's like a
It's just for the whimsy.
topographical map or something. I don't know.
There ain't nothing wrong with something that doesn't mean anything.
That's fair enough. Well, here's some things that did mean something. In the window lining of the windshield, there's a little smiley face that looks like a little Yeti smiley face. In the back windows, in the window lining, there's a little climber.
Do they mean anything?
Well, it's an adventure vehicle.
Then why are people so mad at the maze? It's just a maze.
Well, it's not really adventure themed until it means something. Underneath the lining of the center storage, there's a little diagram of like things that could fit there, like a water bottle and a little camera and a knife, which is kind of cool.
Is there a speaker?
They've replaced.
Sorry, I didn't
yes,
watch the video yet.
They moved the speakers up until like under that front dash.
Oh,
so they took
okay.
them out of the doors actually.
Is there a
Message
flashlight?
Paul and say,
There's
just
still a
pass
flashlight in
it.
the door.
You know, they know what we want.
Doesn't cost
The
much.
most important part.
Well, that was the thing about the R2 is how do you take half the price off and still keep all of the character of the Rivian, like R1 stuff? And I thought the flagship was obviously going to go, and it stayed. So that was actually kind of impressive.
They also announced an Apple Watch
Feel
app
bad.
that you can use to unlock the doors now.
Let's try.
As if they, I mean, they
Drive the
need
car.
better key fobs because that's like my number one thing.
Yeah, that is, yeah.
Two other Easter eggs. The molding underneath the windshield wiper fluid canister in the car is a small skunk/frog hybrid.
In
animal.
1 mile, keep right to
What?
stay on
A
Pleasant Street.
frog skunk, which is a frunk. It's a frunk.
That means something.
Got 'em.
You should also know that that spot right underneath the front of the windshield where the windshield wipers are is called the cowl or cowling. And if you peek in there, there's also
A cow owl?
outline of a cowl owl.
Okay, that's pretty sweet.
I didn't know David started working at Rivian with all these puns.
That joke's put through this car.
I love it.
There are
They know
more.
their audience.
They wouldn't show me or tell me about any of the rest of them, but that's as many as I was able to find. So,
Wow.
Okay, wait. This is just to be clear. This is going to be on all R2s, not
Yes.
just these models you reviewed.
these Easter eggs?
Yeah, these Easter
I
eggs.
believe this should be on all of them.
Okay, that makes me very happy.
Yes. Yes.
Are you getting an R2, Adam?
Hell no, I'm getting an R3X.
Me too, baby. Let's
Yes,
go.
Let's go.
You're buckled up for that 6-year wait?
I'm ready.
That's right.
I'm ready.
Alright.
I mean,
I'm gonna
I'm still
be-
paying off my current car, so by then I'll be ready.
As long as you know. As long as you know.
I paid mine off yesterday.
Well, there's another EV I do want to bring up to you guys because there's so many weird, interesting things about it that are connected to waveform. Number one, it's a Ferrari EV. We don't know what the outside looks like, but it's called the Luce, I think. Luce.
Do you have to say it like that?
I'm not even
I don't know
going to
how-
pronounce
It's
it.
always something Italian with that. Number two, this interior was the first with assistance from Love From, which is Johnny Ive's firm. So this
Now
is
keep right to
potentially
stay
the
on
first
Pleasant
car
Street.
interior that Johnny Ive has gotten his hands on. And it's always funny listening to old. I think Neilai's brought this up on old Vergecasts, which is like all the Apple executives drive Ferraris and all they really want is them to have CarPlay and like now they've finally gotten to work with Ferrari, so this is the first time they've had a direct hand in this. But there's some videos out there, this like big teaser video, or really not a
That's
teaser. They
flaw,
show
it's
the
a
whole
fucking
interior of the
puddle.
car,
Piss
and
me off.
okay. Okay. So many thoughts. Each individual switch and display and UI element is
It's
actually
a fucking
beautiful,
puddle, bro.
right?
What do you want?
In isolation.
In isolation, like each button, each switch, really clean, really nicely done. But then you zoom out to the whole interior, and
Do it again, bro. I'm gonna
it
crash
looks,
out. Oh my
bad.
fucking god.
yeah, like I think, pretty bad.
It looks-
It has this
Oh my
like
God.
retro look to it, which is
Buddy.
really nice for my take last week. That nostalgia is ruining everyone's taste. They went a little bit like confused with the
That's the
nostalgia.
part-
I think
It's hard to call it nostalgia when it's like, hey, the steering wheel looks kind of old, but also here's an Apple Watch Ultra right next to it.
Yeah. The tablet looks like an Apple Watch, a giant Apple Watch Ultra.
Yeah, but how long ago did the first Apple Watch come out?
we're on like the 3 now, so probably 4 years.
No, he's talking about the
No, not the
original
Ultra,
one.
the original
Oh,
Apple
first
Watch.
Apple Watch?
Yeah.
2015.
Right? It's been like a decade.
Yeah.
So this could still be reminiscent of older times.
Yeah, it's just a weird. I am guessing this is not going to be a cheap car. This is going to be a car that people. It's a Ferrari. Like people with a lot of money are.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Ferrari.
And I just don't know what type of person wants this. And I say that knowing that a lot of people do actually want retro future. They just want an electric version of an old car. A lot of people say this a lot, and I'm not sure how many would actually buy it if it's like small phones where we all say we want it but we don't buy it. But like the old, remember the Buick commercial where they show the GNX over and over and over again, which is like super sick, and everyone's like, we just want that but electric, and then you show the new Buick and it's like, I don't want that. So the old Volkswagen bus, everyone loves that, and everyone wishes there was just an electric version of that, but then they had to go modernize a whole bunch of design elements and people want it less. I think that's still true. Like people seem to really like the idea of an old design that's just electrified.
100%.
But this is, I really want to know what the outside of the car looks
Use
like.
It's
around
kinda like,
fucking puddles, but not fucking potholes.
Hyundai
Holy shit.
is making that
What are you on?
car that it uses
Ioniq 5.
no.
Today you're fucked, bro.
What is it called?
Oh, the N74.
N74,
Yeah.
which they did say is going to be a production car.
Like, and they aren't doing it.
Aren't they?
They keep saying they will, but
Yeah, they keep
That
saying
was
they will.
the
never get into
hydrogen.
doing it.
It had like
Hydrogen.
hydrogen fuel cells.
Yeah, like a
or
hydrogen.
whatever.
That was years ago. I've been talking about that. Like,
And at
I mean,
first
that
they
car
were
is
like,
sick.
At first they're like, it's a concept, and then they were like, maybe we might do it, and they're like, but we probably won't. And then they were like,
That's the right.
it's gonna go into production, and then we just haven't heard anything.
I just think it would be such a huge PR win if a company would actually do what everyone says we want.
Yeah.
There's probably some amount of surveys that they've run, or people who just say they would buy it but wouldn't actually buy it.
Yeah.
You know what's the best thing about this interior that I'm seeing? It's just that there's buttons and knobs.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Turns out if it's just not an iPad, people get excited.
Which is
Like,
hilarious from Johnny Ive.
I will say, like, the giant Apple Watch iPad thing kind of just looks like a knockoff iPad. I don't know. All of this, and I'm not a designer, obviously, but a lot of this, to me, is very ugly.
Each individual piece is sick.
The dynamic
Sort of.
clock, dude, that like you can
Nice.
Our all
so
talks dynamic.
The torque meter that
Park all
changes,
buildings outside, David.
the torque meter that
That's
changes
what I was
based on
like,
what
oh my-
mode you're in is sick.
I will say, if I was able to just like buy this tablet and stick it into my car, I would 100% do it.
It's so ugly.
No, it's sick as hell.
Oh my god.
This is like so on the line of like good and bad that I feel like if I have any response to it, it'll either be like, you don't like it because you can't afford it, or
Yeah.
you don't know anything about Ferraris. Yeah, like what? I lose saying anything about this car.
The launch mode. Did you see the thing about the launch mode where you pull that
Wait,
handle in?
hold
from
on,
the
do you
top,
put-
Yes.
And then everything like turns orange.
Yeah,
'cause
it
it's,
looks
like,
sick in isolation. It looks
like-
awesome.
Is this this is the key? I think
Yeah.
Yeah, the
The
key is a
key
little mini like juice box.
fits in like the little piece. Like this is the key
Alright, bro,
because
we're done for a minute.
In 1
shows the
mile,
key.
your destination will be on the right.
I need to figure out how the fuck we're gonna get there. So you're cooked. You're done. is up here. Because that's for emergencies.
Now your destination is on the right.